a little bit, I must say, of the research that I'm coordinating at the Calandra Institute in New York. It's called the Oral History Archive, and it's specifically dedicated to long interviews with legislators of the state of New York who are of Italian-American origin. In the state of New York, between the Assembly and the Senate, there are 210 legislators, and 53 of them are of Italian origin. So it's almost a quarter, 95%, which is reasonably higher than the proportion of Italians in the state of New York, of course, which is higher, but doesn't reach 25%. So Italian Americans seem to be particularly successful in politics in regions where they are also a consistent minority. Some of these people have had enormous influence over history on New York politics. Of course, we all know that Andrew Cuomo and his father Mario Cuomo, governors. We know of the mayors in the 50s, the famous Impellitteri run where there were 3 Italians, Italian-born competitors for the mayoralty of New York, and this goes back to the 30s and 40s, Marcantonio, Lanzetta, and of course Fiorello LaGuardia, etc. So we decided that there is nothing actually on Italian-American politics, and especially there is nothing about contemporary Italian-American politics. So we decided that this oral history archive would be dedicated specifically to this political experience as the Italian-American body politic of New York State. We have interviewed like 23 of this, almost, not really half, but almost half of these 50 people. Every interview goes in between 1 hour and 2 hours. They normally come and say that we have only 15 minutes, so we have to be quick, and they fall in love in some way with the fact that we're asking so many questions, and we know so many things about that and nobody knows. And so we provoke questions and answers on specific subjects. Now this little presentation, which is like almost like 25 minutes, is only one little part of it. It's a selection of answers to specific questions that I ask to all of them. One of these is about their origin, their life, growing up as Italian Americans in the cities or towns when they were raised. Then there is a set of questions. So basically you don't see my questions, you see a collection of answers, different answers. There are questions about how did you decide to enter the political arena? Was it because of your parents, relatives, or anybody, or was it an independent decision? How big was the influence of other Italian Americans who were in politics already involved, etc., etc. So they go on answering to these questions, and they start saying, you know, what was the difficulty when you entered as an Italian American, your first run, when you won for the first time? Did you encounter any difficulty because of your Italian American origin? Not really so much in the first election, but even before, in the party, because then you have to have a nomination. And the Democratic Party, the Republican Party were not dominated by Italian Americans at the beginning, of course. So how did you get the nomination? How did you get accepted? Did you find a difficulty, etc.? So you see how this little story develops from the early origins to entering the party, working your way up, having to fight against the hegemony of other ethnic groups that didn't want Italians, getting to run for the first time, winning the elections, and then consolidating your power. So the last set of questions is, now that you have won your election the first time, the second time, you consolidate your power. Many of these people are like over 80 years old. So they are big bosses in New York politics. How did you consolidate your power? How important was the Italian-American electoral base, the Italian-American vote, to consolidate your power in politics? So I'll stop.